We now have the third game of Waterloo versus unknown college, university, whatever you want to call them. Is it Maryland? Nobody knows. I don't know. But it's got Zing on it. It's got shorter race. They got good players. Okay. Now this is an interesting draft. Now we see some pretty common picks, I would say, throughout this series. Both teams clearly vying for Ezreal. Now I would have liked to see the actual pick ban process, but alas, that was unavailable to me. But just by looking at who has been picked in the games and versus like who has first pick, who doesn't, it's very clear that Ezreal is highly sought after by both teams, being first played on blue side, then, well, actually blue side, but the teams changed. Anyways, other than that though, the opponent team, I'll just say opponent because, you know, Waterloo, I gotta rep my Waterloo boys. A little bit of a bias, but so the opponent really likes their standard sort of this frontline core of Sion Galio. Sion top, Galio support. And I gotta be honest, it has shown a lot of success throughout both the games, even in their loss. It's very clear that if they get the right engages, like the layering of CC is ridiculous. And they just have all the time in the world for both for their carries to follow up. So I have to say I'm quite a fan of that combo, the Galio Sion. It has looked to work wonders. They also have picked Orianna, similar to in the second game. But this time they're no longer against the Swain, they're against the Cassiopeia. And also the Lee Sin has been taken by the opponents, and instead we now have Waterloo as a Karthus. And so this really changes the dynamic of how the middle of the map is going to be played out. Because bottom lane again has a lot of similar picks. Waterloo going for Braum all three games, and the opponent's going for Galio all three games. However, 80 carries have been sort of traded out every single time. It was Lucian versus Ezreal, then it was Ezreal versus Trist, and now it's Trist versus Ezreal. So I have a hard time seeing that the bottom lane will go different than it has been, which is pretty passive farming for the most part. There was a bit of a skirmish in the second game, but that I think was sort of not the norm. But with Cassio and Karthus as the mid and jungle, here, I'll do this. Wait, what? Anyways, okay. So yeah, with Cassio and Karthus in the as the mid jungle duo, it's really hard to see if they'll have like any kill potential, any pressure, similar to what they had last game. They really were able to take control of the middle of the map with that duo, and because of that, they were subsequently able to take advantage of their Jax split push. Now, this game is completely different. They no longer have a Jax. They are not really looking to split push in this game. It looks like they're just going for huge team fight potential with Ornn as the sort of front line and the CC core, right? He's going to be dishing out most of the CC and zoning. And then they just got to pray that they have enough AoE damage with Karthus, right? Meanwhile, though, the Lee Sin is looking to take advantage of this Karthus' sort of weak skirmishing potential in the early game. Now, he does scout out the Lee Sin is there. So what will he do? Karthus does start on the chickens, on the raptors, and Lee Sin sort of forced out. There was a ward, so they saw him come in. So Karthus played it smart by not starting the red immediately, not face checking. But they did force him out because bot lane was threatening to collapse on the Lee Sin. Interesting. I maybe would have... Well, I don't know. Karthus is deceptive because Karthus either has a huge amount of damage if he lands his Qs. If he doesn't land his Qs, he's not really doing anything. So it's possible Lee Sin could have just went super aggro on him, but who knows? Who's to say? Anyways, Karthus gets his full clear, so he's pretty happy with that. And Lee Sin kind of, well, spent a little bit of time trying to pressure, but to no avail. So, I think this, again, what this really comes down to is the matchup in mid, between the mid and the jungler. Again, I don't see much happening in the bottom lane, but it could prove me wrong. But it's really, and similar with the top lane, right? Ornn versus Sion, not much is going to happen, but Lee Sin, oh, okay. Who's going to get the crabs? War over the crab, and Cassiopeia actually gets it because neither smites are up. Wow. Interesting. Now Karthus is going for the invade. Okay. Well, they do have a pretty good maneuver on the Orianna. It looks like Cassiopeia is maxing Q first, so not too much, say, all-in potential there. But they do chunk her out a little bit. Orianna does only have 2 potions and a Doran's Ring. Low mana right now, and so she actually is looking to base. Let's see. What Cassio really wants to do right now is push the wave back and then just deny as much as she can. So either cancel this base, cancel the recall, which I think probably, yeah, right? Just by being there, the Orianna is forced to cancel her recall, and now she has to stay here with only 70 mana. And the Cassiopeia doesn't have to really do anything, doesn't have to use her mana to push the wave. Can just kind of match whatever the Orianna is doing. Now, at the same time, that being said, Cassio would like to probably base if she wants to go for the tier. Now, she doesn't have to pick up a tier. It's not required. In fact, the Luden's build has been getting pretty popularized as of late. Luden's gives so much mana that, oh, missing some E's. It's going to cost them in the mana department. But Luden's, just gives so much mana that the tier isn't necessarily required anymore. And you can actually get Luden's if you just want more damage output. So the Ori actually is able to get a decent base timing just because Cassio sort of maybe used too much mana. Oh, interesting. Going for level 2 Twin Fang at level 5. I wonder why. Okay. Either way, she'll clear out this wave, and doesn't look... Orianna might miss 2 minions, so that's fine. But yeah, I am curious as to what Cassio will purchase. Does look like she does go for the tier. Okay. And Karthus will have the Dark Seal into Fiendish Codex, so not going for the jungle item. if I'm correct. Actually, does Phoenix Codex build into jungle item? It might. I don't jungle enough. Either way, this is a good opportunity for potentially, nope, an invade on the blue I was going to say, but it doesn't look like it. Looks like, oh, what am I doing? Just vying for position over the crab. They do manage to get the crab, but that's about it. So Lee Sin, yeah, it's I wonder what he can get done. Right. My first thought is that probably middle is the biggest point of contention, and Lee Sin will probably be showing up there quite a bit. But as of yet, he hasn't done so. And Cassio's able to... Wow. Oh, okay, I see. That's the orange. I was like, what the heck is that on the mini-map? Seems like a questionable use of the Orin ult, and now he's actually very vulnerable. Both Karthus and Cassiopeia have to sort of move up towards the top side of the map to maybe defend him. He even does have the Ignite, and he decides to stay here. Sion will hard push this wave, probably base, and that's about all that will happen. Lee Sin doesn't look for a dive. Interesting. Okay. Meanwhile, Karthus just farming it up, as he prefers to do so. And it is, Lee Sin comes into the top side now, but then decides to base. Okay. What are we looking for in this game? When do we think the teams are really gonna start to make something happen? Well, Ezreal will not really hit any particular power spike until he gets his gauntlet, so that's pretty far off from now. And until then, Ezreal's not really going to be able to make anything happen on his own, so that's probably not really going to be something to look for. Tristana, though, as soon as the Tristana gets BF Sword with the pickaxe, they are looking pretty powerful, and Tristana plus Braum, they can look for an all-in pretty easily. And then even further so once she completes Infinity Edge. So, possible that maybe bot lane of Waterloo actually starts going more aggressive once that is the case. For now, though, they will just continue to farm. And it actually looks like this is the opportunity Lee Sin is looking for, just sort of as a natural part of his creep route, but at the same time, Orianna decides to base. And so this is actually very sort of uncoordinated, I would say, by the red team. And it's wow, okay, on the top side, Sion gets a solo kill onto Orin. Really did not need to go for that, and oh, this might turn really sour now, yeah. Damn, that's unfortunate. Now, it's not to say that because that Sion kill caused this to happen, but darn, it seems like Braum took a lot of poke, actually, maybe from the dragon. I'll go watch it again. Let's see. Oh, he took a lot of damage from the Ezreal. I see. Yeah. Alright, and because of that damage, he was actually forced off. Kind of funny that Lee Sin didn't go in there. I don't know what was there to stop him, but... Anyways, they do end up getting the dragon. Very strange calls there. It sort of felt like there was no coordination, especially for the red team. The fact that Lee Sin decided to, clear his whole jungle, go for dragon because he didn't really have anything else to do, and then the Orianna's backing at the same time. So very strange sort of flow of the game flow, I guess you can call it, and almost cost them a lot, but in the end, they were able to pick up the dragon off the back of a lot of good Ezreal pokes, so a little bit of overextension by the Braum. Without his Unbreakable, he took too much damage, and then, yeah. And then meanwhile, we had this weird 1v1 in the top lane. I'm not really interested in looking at it, but I'll just go ahead and say that probably shouldn't be the case. Like, Orin is never really winning any of these trades, so probably shouldn't go for them, especially because of the Keystone mismatch, right? If we look at their Keystones, Orin has Spellbook, whereas Scion has Grasp. And I don't know if you guys know, but I've played top lane a couple times, and stress on the couple times, and holy crap, Grasp is like half of your trading potential with almost all melee champions. That Grasp is crazy. The damage that outputs in just small trades. And that's what happens in the top lane. You just get constant small skirmishing. And so whoever is able to prog Grasp a lot of times is usually going to come out ahead. That seems to be the case in the top lane right now. Now, with Spellbook, Orin is potentially able to pick up an Ignite, which you might think, okay, Ezreal gets the preemptive ult 4. Let's see if it's going to hit anything. It does. It is actually close to hitting. But meanwhile, Karthus passive picks up the kill on Lee Sin, and doesn't look like they'll be... Wow, they forced the flash. Okay, still going. Gets the stun up. Will the W come up? He gets the W and the auto attack. Cassiopeia looks for the... Okay, they're actually giving the kill to Cassiopeia. That's nice. So, pretty... Oh, meanwhile, in the bottom lane, no, I missed it. They actually go for the all-in, and I think this is, like I said before, once Tristana has the BF Sword pickaxe, they are certainly stronger in the bot lane. They have the potential to go for those all-ins. So, top, they really underestimate. I'm going to jump back a little bit. Let's see how this started. But actually, what's funny is that if the Ezreal had his ultimate, this probably would have... Oh, he just jumps in. Super ballsy by the Tristana, but I like it because, hey, the Ezreal has no ult. What is it? What's the damage potential? What's the kill threat there? And he gets pretty low, and he has to pop heal, but super ballsy play. I like it a lot. Meanwhile, it looks like after the fact, the blue team... Oh, no. Red got the rift. I think they got it previously beforehand. And so they spawn the Rift Herald mid, and they're actually able to get the tower. Pretty big, I will say. This Cassio build is really funny. He's like alternating between Q and E. He can't decide which one to max first. Ooh, nice. Checking the bush. Doesn't want to face check. They are trying to get position over here, but with the Scion walking over, this could be a scary look for the blue team. This doesn't look good. I think the Karthus... No? Okay. Scion ult does get expended. The Orin does TP down, takes a little bit of damage, and kind of forced to use the ult a little bit early. Doesn't look like blue team's in position to help. Meanwhile, Tristana jumps on Ezreal, forces out a Galio ult. The Karthus ult also comes through, but doesn't really do much. And this is really just going to come down to a smite war, it looks like. But no, the dragon resets, and red team actually has the inner track onto it, and so they're able to burst it down. It looks like they want to punish that dragon kill, and will they be able to? It looks, yeah, the Galio will fall down. But that is a lot of commitment to that left side, bottom side of the map, and because of this, red team is able to push out middle, and then because of that, they can rotate to the top. So, interesting turn of events. I'd say, I guess, a little bit ahead for the red team. Mainly because, well, they got the dragon, of course. There's actually 2 dragons up now. But That's not to make light of a fed Tristana. In fact, I would say that had this Trist not become strong in this game, the frontliners of Scion and Galio, and even Lee Sin here, we can see, by building MR, they're able to sort of mitigate most of the damage on blue team's champions. Waterloo, I would say, is primarily magic damage, with Cassio and Karthus dealing a lot of sustained magic damage. But if Tristana is able to actually become strong, then all of a sudden their damage threats become too diversified that they're hard to build against. Meanwhile, we have a collapse. Oh no. Oh no. That really sucked. Ooh. Okay. Wow. Ezreal basically killed the Cassio by himself. Actually has the Myr mana first before he gets the Gauntlet, so was able to dish out a lot of damage there just with his EQW. And then obviously the flash was not ideal by the Cassiopeia, but you know, that happens. So in this game, the Orianna compared to game 2 has a lot more freedom to move around, and I think that is going to show in how she affects sort of the other sides of the map here. And as we can see, Lee Sin goes in, but doesn't commit. I think weird. That was certainly some communication issues. He could have easily kicked the Braum back. I think that was pretty guaranteed. But he didn't commit for it, and they get the Galio ult and Ezreal ult sort of for nothing, which is always good. But they are planning this. Okay, is he going to go for it now? He doesn't. Very strange. The Lee Sin is not. Whoa. Ezreal ease forwards. Only takes one Karthus Q, and so actually gets a huge positive trade there. Jeez, this Karthus is squishy. Like all Karthuses should be. Okay, nice defense by the Braum. But they are looking to pressure down this top wave, or this top lane. And unless something happens, yeah, I think they will. Okay, now he gets. Okay, he was going for style points. Pretty nicely played by Lee Sin there, but okay. Cassio teleports in, try to maybe salvage the situation, but ends up just kind of whiffing the ult. Unfortunate again. Lee Sin pretty styly plays there. Now Cassio is getting zoned off of her own turret, and but who will win this fight? Yeah. Without Cassio ult, she just kind of loses the fight. Not to mention, Orianna has heal as well. Very unadvised fight there. Karthus does go down, and so does the Braum. Oh no, Waterloo is really falling apart here. I think it seems like they're just getting too greedy, and well, they're just making a lot of small mistakes. Like, there's really no reason to stay up there. Obviously, I get they want to protect the tower, but just pretty greedy there. The Cassio TP was very botched. So was the ult. And then she had to go back into mid lane, which, because her tower got pushed, and she was forced to go the fast way in order to protect the tower, but took a really ill-advised fight. And honestly, within the span of like maybe the last 5 or 6 minutes, things have gone really, really sour for Waterloo. Now, it's not to say that they are out of this. Again, like I said, Tristana is strong this game, which is excellent because that means they will have enough of a physical damage threat to force maybe some sort of reaction out of the Scion. The Scion has built some Fire Cape, whether that is just for pushing or whether that is because he respects the Tristana damage. Either way, that means he will be taking more damage from Karthus and Cassio, right? Similar from the, well, we can see the Lee Sin went straight for the mob Malmortius, which means he will be taking a lot of damage from Trist, right? So it's always sort of, you got to choose one or the other. And there is also something to be said about Ornn being able to upgrade the items of his team. And this is, I think, a big part of Ornn now that cannot be overlooked. Just with his passive alone, he's able to dish out tons and tons of stats with those item upgrades to his team. And especially a team like Karthus and Cassio and Tristana, who are, you can describe them easily as hyper carries, right? Being able to upgrade the item of a hyper carry, okay, is just that much more important, so that they can do exactly what they're meant to do. Wow, this is a scary push here. It looks like Team Waterloo is not in position at all to defend this. Cassio gets chunked half by Oriana. And here's really the big, I'd say, matchup disparity between Cassiopeia and Oriana, which is that nice kick on to the Ornn so that he can't reactivate his ult. He flashes away, but not getting out of there. Ill-advised flash, but like I was saying before, the disparity between Ori and Cassio, Oriana just has much more range to poke the Cassiopeia out with. And if she doesn't build any MR, she will get chunked out really hard. Especially the Oriana went for Luden's Rabadon's Death Cap, which is a pretty, I would say, kind of like an OG build. All the way back from like season 3, 2 or 3. And here, they just have no chance of defending this. Red team knows this, and so they actually TP with Scion. Pretty big commitment, but I'd say definitely worth it. Oh no, they don't actually fully commit. Interesting. They don't fully commit to the inhibitor. They only base with, just getting the inhibitor turret down, which is fine. They did use the Scion ult to kill the Ornn earlier, and so they don't want to be too greedy. And wow, this Oriana out of nowhere, I feel like, is now a huge threat to Team Waterloo's team. Team Waterloo's team. They're champions, yeah. Okay, Karthus gets caught out. Ooh, really? He has a hard time being in the enemy jungle. And really, they have so much kite. Huge Oriana ult 3, man. And the redemption is not close enough. Lee Sin gets the assassination onto Trist. Meanwhile, will they find the Cassio kill? It looks like they will. A clean ace. And will this actually end the game? I think it might. Wow. Damn. Okay. Pretty big blunder, I'd say. There was really... Oh, man. Can't believe it ended like that. Just really poor positioning on the map by Waterloo. Especially, like, Karthus has no reason being anywhere near the enemy team, right? They have just so much more mobility in Ezreal, Orianna, Lee Sin. I think if they were able to keep that game going, like, I think they got too hasty. They didn't have maybe a good vision of continuing that game and scaling up into the late. Like, again, like I said, with Ornn upgrading your items, you know, if Karthus is able to get a death cap, maybe. It looks like he wasn't going for one, but maybe his Void Staff. Cassio is able to get her third item. I kind of actually forget which items Ornn can upgrade. In fact, I'm pretty sure he can upgrade Luden's. And because of that, I would have liked Cassio to go for one. He can upgrade Eye Edge. I think he could have upgraded the Eye Edge. But the game does end there. Waterloo loses 1-2. Kind of disappointing game 3, how it ended up turning out. But yeah, I don't know. I really liked, in all 3 games, the combination of Sion and Galio really proved deadly. So much CC in between them. Now, it's not to say Ornn should have died all those times to Sion. Or did he die? Maybe it was just once, but... Either way, that will conclude this series. Again, unfortunate end to game 3, but that can happen if you disrespect the sort of engaged potential. They really do have a lot of potential there. And you know what? I'm actually going to point out just what I pointed out in game 1, which was that the opponent team with Ezreal did not face very much pressure on Waterloo, or from Waterloo rather, right? And so in the first game, he was just able to run free, do whatever he wants. Similar, I feel like, in this game. There wasn't really much pressure on Ezreal. And because of that, he was actually able to E forwards a lot of the time, land Qs, slow the team, and then sort of ramp that up into an all-out fight, into a good engage for them. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all there is to say there. Close series. Enjoyed watching it. Yeah. Oh well.